Hello, my beautiful people. So, Sony just released the fourth Hotel Transylvania movie to Amazon Prime last week. Um, all I have to say about it is that it is definitely the fourth Hotel Transylvania movie to the point where, like, it's not even in theaters anymore, and like, half of the main actors are not in it. Like like Adam Sandler and Kevin James, they're gone. They're not in the film. They're not even like producers on it. Like, to my knowledge, they had like no involvement in the making of this movie. So basically, Dracula is wanting to retire and hand the hotel over to Mavis, but he doesn't really want to give it over to Johnny because even after four movies with the guy and him being married to his daughter for God knows how long these movies have lasted. Like, I mean, to all from, I mean, for all we know, the whole time span between the four movies could literally just be like 3 years. Because how old is Dennis? Like five. So Drac doesn't want to get the hotel to Johnny. So he makes up this rule that only monsters can run the hotel. So Johnny goes to Van Helsing, who's living in the hotel's basement for some reason. Van Helsing gives him this device that can turn people into monsters because he has that for some reason. Even though he spent decades of his life hunting monsters, so it doesn't really make sense that he would have a device that could turn people into monsters. It's like if Nazis were throwing around Hebrew Bibles at people. So Johnny gets zapped with it, and he's turned into a big old kaiju monster, which is one of the only types of monsters we haven't really seen in the Hotel Transylvania franchise, unless you count Bigfoot, like a big giant Bigfoot, as a monster, like a kaiju thing, or the Kraken in the third movie. That's more like a mythological beast rather than like a kaiju in the traditional sense. Is the Kraken a kaiju? Anyway, Dracula figures this out and realizing that Mavis would kill somebody, he decides to try and turn Johnny back to normal, but he eventually ends up hitting himself with it and turns himself into human. I forgot to mention that there's a switch that can turn someone into a human and into a monster. Because movie. So human Dracula pretty much looks like Adam Sandler. It's a really fun, clever in-joke. The only problem is that they didn't get Adam Sandler to voice Dracula in this movie. They got Brian Hall from YouTube. He does a pretty good impression, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of weird that they decided to make him look like Adam Sandler when Adam Sandler isn't even in the freaking movie. But again, in regards to Brian Hall voicing him, it is extremely hard to notice the difference. I mean, typically there's a little bit of a difference if you really pay attention to it, but yeah, I can see why they officially made Brian Hall the voice of Dracula for this film. So the other monsters see that Johnny was turned into a monster and Dracula was turned into a human, so they don't tell Mavis, and for some reason they drink out of a fountain that was out of an ice sculpture that melted, which apparently Drac hit the ray on, and so they become human. Murray loses all of his bandages. The Wolfman loses his hair. We get to see what the Invisible Man looks like visible, and he was naked throughout the first three movies, and keeping continuity with the first films because he has red curly hair. Uh, Frankenstein's monster is a freaking hunk, and Blobby is just Jello. I kind of like the designs of the human versions of the monsters. Murray, on the other hand, like the mummy, I don't it's ugly. I guess it's kind of supposed to be, but I don't like it. There were a lot of people online that were disappointed on the Invisible Man's design because they expected him to be really sexy, very hunky, kind of like on how Frankenstein's design is in this movie. And in reality, they got a gendered version of Velma Dinkley. The other main reason on why they need to turn Johnny back into a human is that the longer he stays a monster, the more he becomes a ferocious beast. That doesn't really make any sense. What about literally every single monster in these movies? Like, are they all ferocious beasts the longer they are monsters? Is Bigfoot this whole time really just been mean? And speaking of humans turning into monsters and vice versa, there's really no point to having the rest of the side characters in this movie. They really contribute absolutely nothing. Like, legit, you could cut them from this movie after the plot gets going, and they would affect nothing. There really is no point to turn them into humans outside of just, the visual gag. So, aside from the fact that they were in the previous movies, what is the point to them being in this film? I mean, you completely ignore the fact that Johnny and Mavis have a kid throughout the majority of the film, so why not do the same thing for the rest of the characters? Yeah, their kid, Dennis, his name is, they just leave the kid in the hotel, uh, probably to die. He doesn't die though, but it's a kid. It's like 5. Watch after him. Ultimately, when I'm watching Hotel Transylvania, Transformania, I get the feeling that they are running out of ideas for this franchise, and you could tell they don't really want to make these movies anymore. The grand majority of the people who work on these movies don't want to make them anymore. As I said, Adam Sandler and Kevin James aren't in this film. They're not even like, you know, producers or whatever. And the director of the first 3 films, Genndy Tartakovsky, didn't return to direct this film. I believe he worked on the story, but he didn't direct this film. Some other guys did it. And the fact that this film was just dumped on a streaming service and not released in theaters like the previous 3 films definitely gives a sign that Hotel Transylvania is definitely on its last leg. I know that last part has more to do with COVID than the quality of the franchise and its longevity, but it definitely doesn't help. As Sony Pictures Animation continues to make brilliant, innovative, and creative animated films lately, like the Spider-Verse films and the Mitchells vs. the Machines, having them still make the Hotel Transylvania films after all these years kind of feels weird. It's like if somebody marries, settled down, and has like 3 kids, yet they still play video games like 15 hours a day, and their entire diet is just Hot Pockets, Doritos, and Mountain Dew. I know that's a bit of a weird example, but that's kind of like how I feel or how it feels lately with Sony Pictures Animation right now and with the Hotel Transylvania films. Hotel Transylvania was one of Sony's first successful franchises, and it is completely understandable that they just don't want to let that go. They want to continue making Hotel Transylvania movies to make more money. But in terms of the quality of their more later films, like Mitchell's, like Vivo, like Spider-Verse, Hotel Transylvania just doesn't really fit in. It more fits in line with their earlier movies, like with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and The Smurfs and the Emoji Movie. Oh my god. I just did something terrible. I compared Hotel Transylvania to the Emoji Movie. I know that Hotel Transylvania isn't the best animated franchise, but Ryan, you freaking idiot! It is way better than the Emoji Movie. Oh, mm. What other Sony movies existed? Open Season, yeah, open season. But I do believe that this is the last Hotel Transylvania film. But, and you know, I think that's good. Arguably should have just stopped at two. So I'm glad that Sony will finally put films like Hotel Transylvania down and focus on more creative or experimental and weird animated films in the future, like the Spider-Verse films. Like, have you guys seen the teaser to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1? Who am I kidding? Of course you've had. That thing looks freaking amazing. I mean, Spider-Man 2099 showing up, kicking Miles Morales' butt. Oh my god. This is not to say that I don't like Hotel Transylvania. I actually really enjoyed the first movie, and the second film I think it's alright. But by the time we got to the third film, you could tell that that magic is kind of gone, and now with this fourth movie, yeah, it's definitely gone. It's not flat out awful or anything, but it just feels like the fourth installment in a decade long tired franchise, and you could definitely tell, man. What did you guys think of Hotel Transylvania Transformania? Please let me know down in the comments below. And I want to end this video off with a bit of a question. What is your favorite Sony Pictures animation film that isn't Spider-Verse? Because we all know it's Spider-Verse. You don't have to say Spider-Verse. We all know that it's freaking Spider-Verse. Minus the Mitchells versus the Machine. So don't answer Mitchells versus the Machines either. You freaking unoriginal twat. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified on when future videos are uploaded. I'm currently working on a big ol' ranking video that should be out pretty soon, hopefully by the end of the month or the beginning of next month. We never know. The algorithm can be a little sketchy in January anyway, so maybe it's good that I didn't really upload that much in January outside of shorts and re-uploads from TikTok. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later. Bye!